How you doing, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about our middle forward guns and which guys you should be thinking about bringing into your squad. Hope you guys have been enjoying the videos. If you have been, please hit subscribe and the like button. I really appreciate that. Let's help build that community for the channel here. In our first one, we're going to be talking about Payne Hearth. So he was my captain last year for the entire year and did an amazing job, obviously scoring 72, and he's priced accordingly. With Payne Haas, he's only in that middle forward position, no dual status. And our most important one for him is that the fact that he's going to be playing a few less minutes this year. Last year, him and Pat Carrigan had to play big minutes, and this year he's looking to play less minutes but a little bit more quality. So what we shouldn't see is him averaging 72. I'm expecting around 65 points a game. 65 to 70 would be my thoughts. But if he's playing around 60 minutes in the prop position, you'd expect him to have a little bit more energy, which he may be able to affect a few more tackle breaks and offloads, and maybe take a few more runs in that shorter period of time. But you should expect his scores to drop a little bit. You can see he played half of the games this season with 80 minutes and scored really high in most of those games. But with Payne Hearth this year, I'd expect him to drop in price a little bit, and then I think he's going to be a really good option, after 4 to 5 rounds. Only thing to think about is he should be playing Origin off the bench there for the Blues, so I feel like he's going to be someone to bring in to your team after the Origin period. That's all I'm going to say with Haas. I'm going to move on to Lolo. And just remembering, guys, I spoke about Tohu Harris, Crichton, Cam Murray, guys like that in my previous video for the edge forwards. Just remember that they are dual position as well. So I'm not going to speak about them much in this video. Jump back into the other one and have a look at them. But they are middle forwards as well, and we'll jump into this category. What we'll notice is this mid position is completely stacked. I'm going to be doing 3 videos in this one. So we got the guns, we got plenty in the mid ranges, and a lot in the cash cow section as well. So have a think about that in terms of how that's going to suit your team. But Tamalolo is someone I do have in my team right now. So he's obviously not going to play Origin, which is huge this year. Priced at 62 with a nice 62 average as well. But if you look at his scores, he's always been super consistent, right? Didn't go the first 7 games without a score under 60, and he only had one where he got injured and then played a couple of lower minute games just at the back end of the year. But until that, he had 2 scores under 60, which is perfect. So if he's getting a bunch in the 60s and a random one under 60 and a couple in the 70s, then he's going to be perfect for your squad. And I don't see his role changing at all this year. Cowboys should hopefully have a better year under Toddy Payton after what he did with the Warriors and improving there. So if they've got a little bit more roll on, it's only going to help his chances to get those tackle busts and offloads and keep the ball rolling there. But he does need some help. Other than that, I think he's a great decision to bring into your squad. I also forgot to mention McInnes is obviously part of this mid section as well. So it's completely stacked at the moment. Pat Carrigan. So we spoke about Payne Hearth, and you can see that Carrigan played a bunch of games, in the high 70s to 80 minutes as well. And you'd expect that to drop down also. So great player, Paddy. I think he will do really well. Last year he had the dual position, which was helpful, but he's lost that now, which makes sense. But priced at 60, I think he's going to score around 55 points a game. Really perfect fantasy scorer, Paddy is, but I think he's slightly overvalued for what he's going to put out this year. Obviously, it was just his second year in the game, and he's only going to get better as a player. But how much can he do in a 60-minute role where he's got a bunch of games above 60 minutes there? So that's all I like to say with Paddy. But again, you might be able to pick him up for a bit cheaper later on in the season. Isaiah Yeo. All right, I'll let it load there. 781 for Isaiah. So he's priced at 58, scored 58. If you look at his previous years, spent a lot more time in the second row. Obviously, his move to the lock position has unlocked his game, and he actually you'd definitely say he had his best year ever last year. And my thoughts is, can he get better? And I don't think that there's much upside with Isaiah Yeo. For me, he peaked last year, especially a bunch of really high scores at the start of the season, and then slowed it down a little bit through the back end. Was starting to play a few less minutes, in the 50s and 60s, and finish off with some obviously really good games in the final series, but playing higher minutes. And you wouldn't expect him to play any more than around 60 minutes for the bulk of the regular season, and then bump it up in the final. So for me, he's not going to be playing 80 minutes. He only did that for the first 8 rounds. So for me, he's also slightly overvalued. I think he'll average around 55 for the season. And he's not one of the top tier guns in terms of your top 3 or 4, so I don't think he's worth bringing into your squad. Mason Brown had a really good back end of the year. Brownie started pretty slow, and then he's got a couple of big scores, and he's especially the back end. You can see he's from round 12 onwards. 58, 60, 58, 63, 59, 66, 60, 50, and 71. Sorry for a lot of numbers there, but you can see that puts him at an average of approximately 60, right? Probably slightly higher over the past bunch of rounds. But this is a price point and an average that you see from Nathan most years. He does get injured a little bit. The random suspension, you can see the year before was out for 12 rounds there. 2018 as well. Played the first 5, then out till 13, and then a random game off in round 17 as well. So he can get injured a little bit. The way he plays, especially, so rampaging. He can have those games where he's just incredible, like getting over around 200 meters and making 40 tackles with a bunch of offloads and whatever. A bunch of people say that he might be slightly undervalued. I think he'll average about 55 again. He could start off the year amazingly and average around 60 and give you a little price bump, but for me, I'm thinking that he's going to be a no for my squad, just with the amount of other good middle forwards we have, especially as we go down the ranks. The cheaper these guys go. So for me, there's a chance that he starts really well and averages close to 60, but I think over the year, he'll slow that down and come back closer towards 55. All right, let's go Trob. Trob. I can't even spell his name right. All right. Always get that last name wrong for some reason. Alrighty, Trob. Very much a similar price. Averages slightly above what Nathan Brown does. This one's really easy to call. He's going to be your most consistent performer all year. Very close to a Lolo style scoring consistency, but he plays Origin and he averages less. So for me, if you're picking anyone at the start of the season, it's Lolo. But he's always someone that, I picked him up middle of last year and did really well. He'd scored slightly lower. He scored slightly lower on 50 and then ended up averaging 55. So you can pick him up at different times of the year, depending on how much cash you got available, because he's going to be consistent for you. Dave Clemmer. So he lost his Origin spot this year. Will that continue? Right? Because if it does, then he's got a nice runway of scoring. You can see he had a really good time of it through the middle of last year, which made it interesting when he didn't get picked for Origin, for the fact that he was smashing out 60s and he got an 82 in there as well. So, and then slowed it up at the back end of the year. With Clem, average pretty much the same as Trebojevic. I'd be picking Trob over him, just as a more consistent performer. Because you think about it, if you get him at a wrong time and you bring him in at the start and he has a slower start, then you miss out and you get the ball rolling on the, you're slowly rolling along the season, not getting that great start. Obviously, he can even pump out a 70 or 80, but I think that's less likely. There's more chance of averaging about 50 in those first few, slowly building into it. Knight should be a decent squad this year, but never been someone that's tipped the top of the scales in terms of getting to the high price points, whereas Trob or Lolo are gonna do a better job with that for the most part. So he's a no from me. Aiden Tolman moves over to the Sharks this year and joins a big pack, really. And you got Hamlin, Newelly, you got Fafita off the bench there. Tolman's probably going to be on the bench as well. I don't see him starting, but if he does, then yeah, sure. He's already priced at 54, so I don't see the upside there. Someone that gets through a mountain of effort, and he's just getting a lot older. You know what I mean? Like he's got games where he scored really well, where he's averaging over 60 minutes, and he played that a lot last year. And I don't see him playing those big minutes at the Sharks. So happy to just leave him, let him go there. And then our last one, which I find really interesting, is Josh Papalli. So 720k, price of 54, average 54 last year. You think about him as someone that can score a bunch of tries and is getting closer to, you know, pushing guys like Lolo and stuff as one of the better forwards in the game, right? So if he's improving like that each year, you can see in the finals he scored really well and he's starting to play those bigger minute games, right? At the start of the season, he's close to 45, 50 minutes, and as it goes on, he's up near 60. So when you look at that and go, okay, he's played a lot of games there throughout the season, sort of 3/4 of the games around 60 minutes, right? His minutes aren't going to increase. Okay, so that hamstrings him a little bit, slows him down. So I don't see him as having too much upside, but he is improving as a player, right? So there's a chance that he does take that little bit of a leap. I don't see there to be any downside for Papalli. I think he's going to average that minimum of 54, but there's a chance he goes to maybe like a 57, 58. Again, if you're looking for someone at that price point, that's all you can fit into your squad. I think he's a good option. Does play Origin though, right? As we can tell with the majority of these guys here, it's very hard to find someone who's going to be really good who's not playing Origin. So that's where I feel like guys like Tolman, Lolo, and Harris are really good options for you. But that'll be all with our middle forwards for the gun position. We're going to start our next video at 700k, which is going to be Alex Twal. All right, so I really feel like this next one is going to be really interesting. There's a little bit of value in here. It's going to be interesting to see which ones you go for. But yeah, anyway, guys, if you've enjoyed that, please hit subscribe and the like button. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good one.